Hello, good to see you again. And as this is my project, and I went to the play. Here's my playwright. It was a play, and I haven't been to one in a long time, and I'm happy I went. All right, let's get started. So number one, three words that I would describe the play. First, it would be time. I felt like it went on for like a good amount of time, and time was definitely a large aspect of the play. And the next I would say is women, because like throughout the play it was mostly just women like having the dominant roles, and that's not like as seen in today's culture where it's mostly male roles. And lastly, it would be repetitive. In the beginning, during the first scene, it was two women. I think her name was Joy and her wife. It was mostly just them going back and forth about like the same thing, and Joy talking about each one of her toys. And I felt that like being really repetitive, and it made me a little tired. Okay, moving on to number two. Um, The Stronger by August Strindberg was the second play that came up on the show. I would describe the genre of the play to be a drama because of the language of the characters, their body language, and the overall plot in the scene. In this scene, Madame X was quietly sitting and reading a book with a beer on the table when she was rudely interrupted by Madame Y. And on the night of Christmas, Madame Y came in and was extremely articulate in her descriptions of Madame X. And she was very dressed in very high class and fancy manner. She was acting in a accusatory manner to the other silent character, the Asian character. The protagonist was the silent woman, and the climax was kind of unclear to me, to be honest. Maybe it could have been when they started screaming at each other and she stormed out. But it happened when she was pacing around the room and accused of her sleeping with her husband or having a prior marriage, and maybe that could be the reason. The language was effective, in my opinion, because of how they were able to convey their sentences to the argument. Moving on to number three, the director and casting. The director of the play was Elizabeth Moser. The type of stage used was a Zoom. I think the director did a really good job with the second and third play. The first play was a bit hard to understand because there's so many objects on stage. It was just like a lot to see. The main character, Joy, was speaking quietly, I think. Speaking quietly. Definitely could have spoke a little louder. I think for the future they should practice with the microphones and just like to make her to amplify her voice. But yes, that's something to talk about. A specific staging moment that stood out to me was the most was the background picture of when the stars came out. This was especially important because the actors were able to set up the following scenes while transitioning. Sorry, my eyes hurt. With background. Visually, the audience was focused on the lights of the stars and the singers that were performing simultaneously. I remember turning to the person to me and saying, "Wow, this was like a really cool part of the play, and it really meant something to me." This moment was especially effective and it symbolized the specific significant passing of time when they were changing the scene. The transition to the following scene was all the more smooth. One of the actors that I appreciated in the least a part of the play was the Madame Y, played by Ellie Greenwood. She did a great job of playing like a snotty rich woman, and she wasn't too like nice, and I didn't like appreciate that, I guess. One acting moment I appreciated was when she reacted to Madame X laughing for the first time. Her look of disgust was captivating and helped me feel the same way. She was so articulate in her body language and her taken abackness. Moving on to number five. This one's about one designer. One designer that particularly caught my attention was from the first play, Self-Help in Anthropocene. The scenic designer, M. Miller, paid a lot of attention to detail with all the items in the room because there's a lot of items, and also the script writer was very specific in writing Joy's lines because she talked about every item and she had a story about every one. It's really interesting how she was able to remember all that. Moving on to number 6. Actually, I forgot something. The scene wouldn't have been the same without all the props, and also a lighting moment that was particularly eye-catching was the transition between the first and second play with the stars and how that kind of like took away from the people changing the stage at the time. Number 6. So number 6, the Playmakers. I can't really tell if this play was fit together nicely because before reading descriptions of the overall play online after the show, I was unsure on how all 3 scenes connected overall. It was kind of flip-floppy, to be honest, but I'm not too like professional about reacting to plays. So I have seen Phantom of the Opera though. That was a play I would see again. I think the Playmakers wanted to have the audience feel the passing of the play, of time, and the differences in the characters from scene to scene. I believe they were effective in conveying this theme. Moving on to number 7, it's our parting thought. My parting thought, I believe the larger picture that I gained from watching this play was an idea of the passage of time and tragic events affected by characters. A tragic comedy, maybe. The idea of social change, climate change, and the passage of time were especially prevalent throughout the play. I've never seen a play of such depth that required significant thought following through the end. And that is it. Thank you for your time.